I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, September the 4th, brought to you in part by Endovac Animal Health for over 40 years. Endovac beef with Immune Plus is a killed bacterium with no active endotoxins, so you don't have to worry about gram-negative stacking, and you can be given alongside other vaccines. For more information, go to EndoVacAnimalHealth.com. I'll try to remember to attach an informative video at the end of this feeder flash episode. Can't always blame the board. We like to. It's easy because you know, when the board goes down, I always get so frustrated because that's something that's supposed to happen off in the future, and it dictates what goes on right now. But you know, we lost ground last week. Not so much in our feeder cattle, but in our fat cattle market, and that is the market. That's the market. What's the cattle market? It's the cash negotiated fat cattle market. Everything else is just a derivative of that. And we lost ground last week, quite a bit of ground, and it wasn't because of the board. Actually, you know, we lost our August contract, which was close to 185 when it went off the board, which was that was close to your 5 area weighted average the previous week. But last week we lost the August, and then we get down to October. The October contract was actually up nearly $3. Now it's still well under 180, but it was actually up almost $3. So we really can't blame the board for any pressure last week. Now we've had 2 straight weeks of really light negotiated cash trade. Whether or not that gives your feedlots any more leverage, it's hard to say. Yes, we might get a little bit of activity. It's mostly from your regional packers because they're the ones that get short. They don't have most all their needs met like the big 4 packers do. They need to buy cattle on the spot market, and they need to buy cattle hand to mouth at times. So, you know, and if we didn't have our regional packers, I mean, this deal would have been long lost a long time ago, and we'd all be sitting around like a bunch of pig farmers, just letting the corporates dictate every single thing to us. But, so we've had two weeks of extremely light numbers. Now, that was led on by 1 week of quite a bit of cattle with time that could be picked up to, you know, 2 to 4 weeks. And, you know, all summer we've been seeing them buy a few cattle, not for pickup for 2 to 4 weeks, but they took those cattle right away. Well, they used those cattle here a week or 2 ago to kind of leverage the market, leverage their stance, and try to get what few cattle they need off the spot market. And it set us up for last week, which you can't blame the packers for wanting to buy cattle cheaper. That's their job, one of their jobs, and that's probably the thing that they have more control of than anything is what they pay for fat cattle. But they would like to buy them cheaper, and they did quite a bit last week. Your weighted average on live steers was almost $2 lower, and your dressed weighted average on steers was more than $3.50 lower. That's pretty significant losses there. Now, we're coming in on our feeder cattle market. We're still selling grass yearlings very well, and they'll still feed very well. We're getting close to the time where there's not going to be a whole lot more hot weather to feed cattle in, so your packer or your feedlots really love that. But every single week, a larger portion of our feeder cattle offering is going to be calves, and in most sales, calves are going to become half the feeder run, where it's been yearlings pretty much here all summer. But we started seeing a lot of calves coming in. I told you about Beaver County stockyards. They had 2,000 calves and not quite 1,000 yearlings. Now that's the opposite of what they normally have, or have been having here all summer. But that's just the way it's going to be. It's going to be mostly all calves. But and we will see some farmer feeders start coming in because they are getting harvest underway in the Corn Belt. And once they get to rolling, it doesn't take very long, guys. I mean, they can flat you know, scoop that stuff up in a big hurry. And a lot of your Midwest farmers have a lot or most of last year's corn crop in on-farm storage. Now they're going to have to start getting rid of some corn somewhere. They don't like to pay storage uptown for that stuff, so they are likely, a lot of them are going to start feeding some cattle. They've made money in the past doing that, and we'll see how they start coming in as we start to get through the harvest there. But I've told you guys many times, a farmer loves to farm. That's what they do. And you see people that farm and run cattle, you can tell right away which one they like the best. You know, you got farmers that run cattle, and you got cattlemen that also farm, and you can see that. But a true farmer, he doesn't want to fool with cattle at all when it comes time to farm. You know, they don't always get to farm. It comes in big waves there in the fall and the spring normally, and so they're really excited about putting that big equipment to work and getting in there and seeing what those yields are and seeing how efficiently they can do that. And they bring the whole family in, and it's a big deal for them, and you can't blame them. That's what they do for a living. But once they get done with harvest, you can see them come into the market, and they don't mind feeding a big calf. A lot of your commercial feed yards do not like to feed calves at all, and the bigger and the fleshier the calf, the less they want to feed it. But a farmer feeder will absolutely do that, and a lot of times they prefer them. But that's just their own specific thing that they like to do. But you guys know I'm a big Trump supporter. If you haven't done that, you haven't been watching this very long. But getting ready, at the end of the month, we are going to be having a huge rally. It's the Ranchers for Trump rally. It's going to be in Fallon, Nevada. My good friend Jack Payne is putting that on his sale barn, Nevada Livestock Marketing, right in town in Fallon, Nevada. We're going to be having an auction. Well, he's going to be having a special feeder cattle auction on Friday, September the 27th. And then on Saturday and Sunday, the 28th and the 29th, he is going to be having a big roping event there. He's going to be having a muley roping, a breakaway roping, going to be having a branding competition there, like at a ranch rodeo type deal. But some younger contestants can get in there. The girls can get in there. And he is saying, yeah, it's going to cost a little bit for entry fees. We are using some of that money, that entry fee money. He is donating the stock to rope and to work. He is using some of that entry fee money for a Trump donation. If you guys would like to donate cattle, you did that 4 years ago when we had one similar to this 4 years ago, but this one's going to be bigger and better. But we had several people donate cattle for the Trump campaign. He's decided to do it a little bit different. If you want to donate a calf or two off of some cattle you're bringing in on that Friday, he's just going to average one off and donate it to the Trump campaign rather than selling one head during the Trump sale, which is going to be on Saturday evening, the 28th of September. But we're expecting a big turnout. Harriet Hageman's office has expressed interest in that. We have not confirmed that she will be there. We're not for sure who is going to be coming from the Trump campaign, but we've talked about several that might be there. It's going to be a good time, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. People of like minds are going to be there. If you're a roper, plan on getting there and doing that. They're going to have some really nice prizes there for that, and it's going to be all about Ranchers for Trump, so you want to be involved in that. Nevada is a battleground state, and Trump has to win Nevada, and we're going to try to raise $1 million or more for the Trump campaign, especially right there in Nevada where they need it the worst. Now, I tell you guys personal stories from time to time, so you think I'm not quite as big an asshole as I sound like on there a lot of times, but I had a personal story I wanted to share that happened to me on Tuesday. and it's about one of my very best friends, Mike Frieden from Fawcett, Missouri. He worked for a long time. It's for St. Joe Stockyards. I was at St. Joe Stockyards. Worked for a long time around there. We've been buddies for, I don't know, 15 or 20 years probably. And I remember about 15 or 16 years ago, maybe 17, him telling me that he said, well, it looks like I'm going to have to raise this grandson that I've got. I said, gosh dang, Mike, you should be done with your kids. And he goes, I know, but it's going to be best that I do that. And anyway, so he took him in. Him and his wife Jackie took him in, and then later took in his little sister too. But anyway, they took Quincy in, and anyway, Quincy was there. I didn't go to Mike's house very often, but once in a while when I'd come over there, we'd be working some cattle or switching some cattle around, or maybe hauling some, or helping him do this or that, or going over there to buy some hay off of him, something like that. I'd come over there, and Quincy was a little shy kid, and he was overweight for his age, and this is probably 6, 7, 8 years ago when I would see him from time to time, and you would talk to him, and he was a little bit shy to engage with you, and just didn't seem to have a lot of self-confidence, and the only thing that he was really interested in was playing video games, and so I was a little worried about that kid. And then Mike told me that about 5 years ago or so that Quincy told him, he said, I think I would like to be an athlete. And so Mike said, okay, well, we've got to get you in shape. And he said, well, I'm ready to do it. So Mike started taking his grandson Quincy up to the schoolhouse every day at 6 o'clock in the morning, year round, week around, every day, 6 o'clock in the morning. He would take Quincy up to the school to work out and lift weights and things like that. He got involved in playing the sports, school-sponsored sports there before it was really available to him, and he got in on the ground floor. And anyway, on Tuesday, Mike sent me this picture of him and Quincy. Now, Mike's a cattle guy. He works with Maryville Livestock Auction in Maryville, Missouri, and commissions cattle in there, helps them around there. He backgrounds several cattle of his own, sells them, and puts cattle together, markets them. He buys cattle for other people. In his spare time, he likes to talk about cattle. He is a cattle guy. But I tell you what, you look how impressive that young man is, and how proud he is, and how proud Mike is of him. They had a big football win, the Mid-Buchanan County Dragons there, which would be south of St. Joe, Missouri, and or south of Kansas City, or north of Kansas City, south of St. Joe. But anyways, I was just so tickled to see that. That boy looks like he could start for Missouri Tigers. And you look how proud he is and how confident he is. And I tell you what, to get your kids involved, your grandkids involved in something that's solid, like sports. His grades have improved. He's a great student now. He's on his way to more than likely getting some kind of a scholarship to go to college there. But they would have made sure that he gets education anyway. You talk about that boy as an athlete. During the track season, he throws the shot put and runs the 100-meter dash. Wow. But that made me feel good, and I just wanted to share that picture with you. I was so impressed with the transformation of that young man. Let's talk about your board on Tuesday to open the week. Remember, Monday was a holiday. October live cattle up 67 cents at 179.27. December was up $1.30 at 178.85. Your back months were mixed, down 67 to up $1.12, but still supportive on your board. September feeder cattle up 90 cents at 241.37. October up $1.57 at 239.32. And your back months were all up from 20 cents to 137 higher. All your agriculture products futures were higher on Tuesday to start the week. December corn up 8 1/4 cents at 409 1/4. November beans up 12 cents at 10.12 a bushel. Hard red winter wheat for December up 11 cents at 576 1/4 so a banner day on your ag commodity futures there. Your weighted average on last week's negotiated fat cattle sales out of your 5-area feeding region totaled only 54,600, which is a little more than a disappointing week a week ago of 42,300, and then the same week a year ago 58,400. But those are small totals there of negotiated trade in the 5 area there. But last week your fat steers and heifers negotiated direct trade sold from 181 to 187. That was $1 to $3 lower. Weighted average on live steers was 183.81. That was down 173. Your dress sales last week 285 to 293. That was $2 to $3 lower. And the board more supportive, guys, right in the face of that. Your weighted average on dress steers last week 290.29, down 364. Ouch. As a whole, your Southern Plains last week sold steady at 183. At the Northern Plains, where we saw the losses from steady to $3 lower live, mostly 183 to 185. Really no premium to speak of for your Northern Plains compared to the Southern Plains now. Dress sales $2 to $5 lower from 288 to 293. Nationwide direct negotiated was sold 65,500 last week compared to only 54,700 the previous week and 68,800 the same week a year ago. Of those 65,500, about 27% were bought for the 2 to 4 week delivery, or 17,600. That's about normal. That's not too bad. They're not setting us up anymore. Negotiated grid sales continue to grow as a portion of the trade each week. 41,400 head. Very, very few of those really have any negotiation in the grid, but they call them negotiated grid. Forward contracting has really slowed down. So that tells me that these guys that are selling these fat cattle don't really think the market should be any cheaper. If they did, they would probably be forward contracting more of them, but they're not. Only 8,300 head forward contracted last week. But formula sells 273,600 head. That's why we don't have much of anything else. They're all on a formula sweetheart deal. We did have a fat cattle auction, biggest one we see every week at Stockman's Livestock Market in Yankton, South Dakota. DVAuction broadcaster now. They had 1,000 head of fats in overnight, 1,800 for their total sale. Conventional cattle sold $1 to $4 lower, from 176 to 184. They're telling their auction buyers to be real conservative too. They didn't have many drug-free cattle at all. Did have some non-implanted cattle. They tipped their hand to wanting them a little bit, steady to $1.50 higher than last week, from 182 to 189. But what I thought was interesting is they have a lot of two-way cattle that could go to slaughter or back to feed. The cattle going back to feed sold very impressively, so you're getting some of those farmer feeders there that are wanting a place to market this corn. That cattle going back to feed, weighing in a slaughter weight, sold from 184 to 196. That 196 was the top price on those going back to feed. It was on 125 steers that weighed 1,315 pounds. Wow, that used to be the average weight of slaughter cattle, but not anymore. Your slaughter to start the week was 127,000 on Tuesday. Didn't have any Monday kill, so you really can't compare it to the previous week. But the same week a year ago, which was also the holiday week, it was just 3,000 lighter than that. Talk about what else is going on. Performance Livestock Analytics. Performance Beef combines feeding and input costs to create a professional and accurate invoice at the touch of a button, and makes it easy to generate accurate closeouts and break-evens in seconds. For more information, go to performancelivestockanalytics.com. forgot to give you your box beef cutout values. They were higher to start the week. Choice cuts up 133 at 310.67. Selects were up 429 at $300.11. Talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DVAuction based on an 800-pound cash auction steer up to your middle 12 states, 242.88. Basically steady with the end of last week with Tuesday's sales. So that's good. They were only down 4 cents a hundred. So just basically steady right there. Now you look at your latest CME cash feeder cattle index, it dropped big time on Monday when it come out at 2:30, or Tuesday I guess, 239.98. And the reason for that was because of a pile of cheap direct cattle that get turned in on Friday. Once they plugged those in, it pulled that thing way down. Talk about your big sales on Tuesday. Ozarks Regional Stockyard in West Plains, Missouri. You can always count on them to have a good test of the market. They had 2,000 head through the ring. Another nearly 400 that they had with their in-house video that they have every week with help from DVAuction. Good market there in West Plains on Tuesday. Feeders were steady to $3 higher. Calves were steady to $5 higher. Look at your NationalBeefWire stick-out sale of the day, and it was on Flint Hills Stockyards. And you say, well, I've never heard of Flint Hills Stockyards before. Yeah, it's the old Denny Rezac Livestock Commission. I'm going to miss saying that and miss talking about those brothers there. But Flint Hills Stockyards in St. Mary's, Kansas. Got some new blood in there. Some younger guys coming in to try their hand, and they're doing it with the blessings of the Rezacs there. And it looks like people are going to support them, and it should be pretty seamless. We're going to go right ahead. But had a good sale, 2,000 head there of feeders only. And you look at this automated market report. I just pulled the steers because most of the cattle that they had through the ring there in St. Mary's, Kansas were big, still coming off the grass, yearling steers, and they sell really well. Look at those best tested weights. There was 418 head of the 8-weight steers in St. Mary's. They averaged 858 pounds with a weighted average price on all of them weighing deep in the 8s at $247.70. It's about $5 better than your real-time index, about $7 better than your CME cash feeder cattle index, and on a weight that's 60 pounds bigger than the 800 pounds it's based off of. How about 804 head of the 9-weight steers? Flint Hills Stockyards weighed 938 at $238.07. And they did have one stick-out individual quote there at St. Mary's. It was 121 steers, weighed 920 pounds at $248.10. Just like nothing ever happened. We didn't sell them a whole lot higher than that, weighing in the 9s, guys. Even several weeks ago when we were at our all-time record highs. Big time quote there. How about some others from all around? How about Knoxville Livestock Auction Center in Mascot, Tennessee? They sell 120 steers in one whack. He said they only sell them one at a time through there. Not always, people. The more and more in the southeast, we've got people that are putting those cattle together and keeping them local. They have better luck with them, and then marketing them as yearlings back through those good markets there in the southeast, and they sell very close to what they bring right next to the feedlots, guys. But 120 steers there in central Tennessee, weighed 858 pounds through the ring, bring $240, weighing that close to 900 pounds. Pretty impressive, guys. How about our friends at Beaver County Stockyards, Beaver, Oklahoma? They had a good sale there. And I told you on our last feeder flash report that they were going to have about 250 steer calves come in from a ranch and outfit near Borger, Texas. Well, those calves come in. These are steer calves weaned at daylight when they pulled them from their mothers, loaded them on trucks, and sent them into Beaver, Oklahoma. This one bunch, 98 head of them, 565-pound unweaned steer calves, bring $307. Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma. Don't forget, next week, going to have the big Beaver feeder flash special, the Beaver feeder clash there or feeder flash beaver clash, I think is what we call it. I knew it was a tongue twister, but I'm going to be there. I'm going to help sell. We're going to have a lot of yearlings, probably 2,000 to 3,000 yearlings, and probably that many calves too. It'll be a big sale, guys. Hope you guys show up. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Tuesday, your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Macon, Missouri, at Lolly Brothers Livestock Market, longtime DVAuction broadcaster. These are thin yearling heifers right there, backgrounded locally there on grass. There was a load of 726-pound yearling heifers there. They sold on DVAuction online, went to Iowa, to an Iowa farmer feeder that had a bunch of that cheap corn and needs to start getting rid of some of it. A load of heifers weighed 726 and bring 259 1/4. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.
There's no way to make money planting them. I've yet to see one grow. We're in Star, South Carolina at Weems Creek Cattle Company. Endovac is in our system. It works. Cattle health is extremely important in this process because a treated calf is costly for us. For the last feeding year period here, we handled 5,800 head to 6,000 head through here. The Immune Plus is a huge benefit, and we see it, and we simply just don't treat cattle. It's a no-brainer for us.